Hey, this is 6-Bolt in Von Doom's lab. Today we're going to be talking about Hook of the Reaper version 1.1.8 release. So I didn't think I'd be doing this release so soon, but things happen, which I'll get into later why I did this release. It's kind of pretty quick and short, just to do one enhancement to put in to get one feature working on the RS3 Reaper. But as always, we start, let's kind of go through the bugs. So I still have the alien light gun bug still left over. So I'm not really doing anything currently on it. So somebody did lend me an alien light gun, which is great. So I actually had hardware to test with, and I tested out things. Uh, so for the fast recoil games, I put in slow mode. This was put in the last release on version 1.1.7. So that seems to fix everything since it's only taking out every other recoil. So then it doesn't have any syncing issues, and it's working good. The only reason why I haven't closed the bug, I'm still waiting for the tester to make sure everything is working good. So if he's listening to this, there's no rush. I mean, it's just a bug still open. I'm not too worried about it, so I'm just waiting for him to check things out. I know, it takes a while. So, like I said, no rush. I'm not worried about it. So that's kind of just left open. But moving on is there was a potential memory leak problem, but it was nothing actually. It was no problem. Kind of memory leaks happen with, especially within C and C++, using pointers, and if you don't delete them. So they did kind of create smart pointers and weak pointers, but I don't usually use pointers too much. So, but these pointers were creating the hooker engine and the hooker engine TCP port and the hooker engine for the serial port and the USB head. So those are not going to be recreated a whole bunch of times. So, and once you close the program, Windows takes all the memory back. So it's nothing a problem or anything, like I said. So it's more like I didn't do the deletion correctly, and some of it's because of how Qt does their multi-threading. So I think you have to use a pointer to create a class, then move that class into a different thread. Then when you close down that thread, it takes care of that pointer for you. But I have a non-multi-threading mode, which I had to account for. So it was pretty much that. So memory leaks happen is when you're calling a function that has a pointer that could be like, allocates like a kilobyte, and you call that function 1,000 times, like every second or something. So 1,000 times 1,000, that's like a megabyte. So then you're leaking a megabyte every second. So after a minute, it'll be 60 megabytes, and that's kind of leads for crashes. But that's not happening. I'm not creating the hooker engine multiple times. It's only created once. So, like I said, it's not really a problem. So, I corrected the delete stuff with the pointer, so it's all now with C++ guidance and all that, even though it doesn't really matter, like I said. But that's taken care of. The next one was like a bug I found implementing the one enhancement. So for the last enhancement I did with the 5 LEDs, I turned them on by doing the ZS command. And so I had it in two spaces, but one of the spaces was when the first reload happens, it sticks ZS, prepends a ZS onto it. So, but the problem is I was prepending the reload command to it. So every game you played that was that was using the ammo value recoil with the Reaper, it was adding a ZS to the reload command. So if you played 20 games, you had 20 ZS's in the reload command. So it probably didn't hurt anything. It's just a lot of wasted data being written around. So it was an easy fix. So all you do is you copy the reload command to a temp. So how I do the commands, I put them in a string list, a Q string list, and it's just a list of strings. So then I copied the reload command, so I'm not using the reload command. I copied like a temp one of it, then prepended it with the ZS command, then sent the temp Q string list off instead of the reload commands, just for initting that for one time. So that only happens like once in the beginning. Then all the other times is just a normal reload command. That's just to turn on the LED. So when they come up, those 5 orange LED lights, that's kind of what happens when you do ZS. So that was an easy fix. So it's kind of a little kind of nasty one, but it's not that bad. It's not going to break anything. It's just, like I said, just waste of data. And it could start affecting things if you played like 100 games all in a row, then you'll be sending 100 ZS's with every reload. So yeah, it could have been a problem, but it wasn't. So yeah, I fixed that. I confirmed it, and so I'll be closing these two, the memory leak and the ZS command thing. These are done. So moving on now to the enhancements, and this is the reason why I did this release. And this is so on the RS3, the retro shooters RS3 Reapers, they have a feature that holds the slide back. So when you run out of ammo, kind of like a normal gun does, the slide will stay back. So when you put in a new magazine, then you can just release it, and boom, it puts another bullet in right away. And that's kind of acting like a real gun does. So when you reload, then it comes forward acting like it puts the bullet in, kind of thing. And it was kind of like a cool feature. But the problem is it never really worked for full auto games. And this is where you hold the trigger down and it's like full auto. It just shoots a whole bunch of bullets out. And I can kind of go into a reason about that. So I was sending the Z0 command all the time. And you can tell this because the 5 LEDs turn all red. So the only way to make the 5 LEDs all red is to send the Z0 command. So the command is being sent, but the slide is not being held back. So why doesn't the slide hold back all the time? So some games it works, some games it doesn't. It really rarely works. I think there was only like 2 games that it worked on for a while. Then of course something changed. You could change a little thing, compile it, and it stops working. But I kind of made 2 videos about explaining a lot of detail about why it doesn't work all the time. So I'll have those links to those 2 videos in the description. So I'll just do kind of like a really quick synopsis of why it's not working. So I kind of made this little tiny diagram. So the reason why it doesn't always work is, as any light gun, so if the light gun is doing a recoil command, it will ignore any other recoil commands coming in. And Z0, holding the slide back, is considered a recoil command. So that's why, so if the light gun is doing a recoil, and a Z0 comes in, it'll just ignore it. And that's pretty much why it never really works for full auto game. But I know the House of the Dead 4 was working for a while, and I think there was another game. And it just because it's kind of like I said, the stars align to make that happen. So I think what happened is you can see here, this is this showing when the recoil stuff is happening. This is where the slide gets held back. So this is probably the end of the recoil. I'm thinking maybe from ammo 5, maybe ammo 3 it could be. So when that ends, this goes down, and now it will accept recoil commands. So then that Z0 is just in kind of the perfect spot to make it work. But like I said, things could change. I think Techno Parrot, I think House of the Dead 4, the Lindbergh emulator sped up because I believe this used to be 60 milliseconds, but now it's 50 milliseconds for House of the Dead 4. I thought it was 60, but every time I go back and check, it's 50. So maybe I can look at old logs, but now because something changes, that could always happen. You could recompile something. Now things are multi-threaded. It's just called a cycle slip. You don't have determinism all the time, is what we call it. And now that this recoil got pushed back by one, like I have it ammo 5 here and you have ammo 6 here. So now it's going low right before ammo 1, Z1, instead of like Z0 here. So now it's doing a recoil. During that time, you send the Z0 command, which it will be here, but since it's doing a recoil, it just ignores it. So that's kind of why it's not working. And so I kind of explained the best way to fix it is to have a delay buffer. So what's kind of a delay buffer? The delay buffer is usually a non-blocking delay. So there's a blocking delay and a non-blocking delay. Blocking delay is really easy. That's when you just tell it to sleep. You say sleep for 10 milliseconds, where it just stops the thread, or the CPU just twiddles its thumbs. It does nothing. That's kind of a blocking delay. But since the delay is pretty long in this, it's not good to have that. You want a non-blocking delay. So you kind of set a timer. So when a Z0 comes in, you set a timer to delay it, kind of thing, but it doesn't block anything. So then at the end of that timer, then you send the Z0 command that so when the recoil ends, you send that Z0, then it holds it back. Then when you get a Z6, then it stops holding the slide back. The Z6 is a reload command. But what if a reload happens during when that timer delay is happening? Well, since you're not blocking it, you can cancel that timer delay, and you just cancel out the Z0 command and you just send the Z6 for a reload. And the reason why you still have to send the Z6, because then that will change all the red LEDs to the orange LEDs. So now you have ammo again. So the best place for this delay buffer was on the Reaper itself, because it knows when the recoiling is happening, right? And how much time is left. Because Hook of the Reaper doesn't know. I would have to know exactly the recoil timing. Then I would have to record when recoiling stops and starts. It's easier if you just hold down the whole trigger, let all the bullets go during one time, but you could stop. You could shoot like 10 bullets, stop, shoot another 10 bullets, stop. That just makes trying to track the timing a mess. But the light gun knows exactly when it's doing it, right? It knows when the command's coming in. But the problem is I reached out to retro shooters and they're like, no, we can't. That's probably not in the cards. They not can't really do a firmware update. I don't know if it can't be done or it's just like, oh, we're not going to fix this, or if they can or not. But they, for this instance, they're like, no. Which then I was like, oh, okay. So the next option is in Hook of the Reaper, of course. That's like kind of the next step back. But since I don't, if I'm not recording all the recoil stuff, I have to do a worst case delay. So I have to put in, well, I know if you look back at the timing diagram, uh, usually 50 milliseconds is the fastest recoil. The only other faster recoil is in Rambo, but I changed that out from the recoil from CTM recoil to the gun recoil, which was the arcade, which was was like almost, it was half. So the original CTM recoil went from 40 to 60 milliseconds, where the gun recoil went from 80 to 100. So without Rambo, then the fastest recoil I've seen is 50 milliseconds, and that's uh, on two games, House of the Dead 4 and Transformers Human Alliance. So, so the nice thing, at least, we'll get this 50 milliseconds eating into that delay, right? But I got the delay requirement from retro shooters. Then I can minus that 50 off, and I put it in, and I kind of rounded it up, and it came out to 145 milliseconds. So that is pretty fast. So to kind of give you an understanding of like how fast, like 145 milliseconds, like when you blink your eyes, that's like 100 to 150 milliseconds. And a reaction time for a human is between 100 to 250 milliseconds. But 100 is like, gaming, probably Legends, right? That's very, very, you have to train and all that. But even to like reload, you sometimes just have to hit the edge, like on House of the Dead 4. You just flick the gun up, it hits the edge, reloads kind of thing. So that's why that's why we have to put a delay buffer in, a non-blocking delay. And so I got that in. The way it's architectured, how Hook of the Reaper, it made it hard to do. But I thought of my first two ideas didn't work, so it was actually my third idea worked. So I got that in, and it actually was working good. So I was like, great. So I put that in. So like I said, the default is 145, and I think that shouldn't really matter on computer you have or anything. It's more about the light gun. And of course, there might be some skew. Like some people might have to maybe increase it a couple milliseconds or not, but it's programmable, so you can try it. But when I was doing it at 145, but I think I put enough guard band in where it should work for everybody. But then another thing I was worrying about is now I know for the Reapers, if you do the Z0 command, it will hold the slide back for 10 seconds. And I know from somebody, I think the really early models didn't have this. I haven't confirmed with retro shooters with this, but I don't know that is 100% true, so don't take it as fact. But but I have no reason why not to believe the person who said it. They're really reliable. So that kind of really made me worried about safety. So to have redundancy in it, I did put a safety timer in it too. So when the slide is holding back, I kind of use the same timer. And so when it's holding back, I run that timer. And if a reload doesn't happen during that timer, it, sends the reload command just to stop it. And usually when I was playing around with it, it's programmable from 1.0 seconds to 9 seconds. So like I said, 10 seconds is the light gun itself will stop holding back. But I think that's kind of a long time, and just to be safe, because usually when it's holding back, if they're doing usually full current, hopefully you can do some other things, but if you're using full current, all that is just turning into heat. So if we can just minimize that time, it would be better. And also, knowing being an electrical engineer, like heat kills, things, and it will slowly kill the inductor, because a solenoid's just a big inductor, is what it is. It will slowly start killing it. So that's why I wanted to put another safety timer in. And that's kind of, you know me, I'm always worried about safety. Kind of like, with the recoil value, I put a safety timer in. And that's where the output signal controls the solenoid, right? So when the game says recoil 1, then that solenoid goes and charges until it says 0, then it goes out. But I put a timer on it for 200 milliseconds, because a recoil shouldn't charge more than 200 milliseconds, never. So that's kind of, I'm always want to be safe. So this is, like I said, programmable, and it does happen. Like for instance, when I played House of the Dead 4, I shot all my ammo. It held the slide back. Then it went into cutscene. Then I couldn't do a reload, because in the cutscene you can't do a reload. So I had to wait the whole 10 seconds until the slide goes back, because the cutscene was longer than 10 seconds. But now, like, I have a default time at 5 seconds. So now I'm cutting 5 seconds of all that heat out of it. So, which is good. And when I'm playing at 5 seconds, it was really a long time. I never really had it close. I think I went down to 2 seconds, and I think only 1 or 2 times I didn't hit the reload before it closed. But and also when if it does the safety timer and closes, you still have to do a reload. So sometimes you have to watch out for that, because you hear it click back, and you're like, oh, I have bullets again. But if it's the safety timer doing it, no, you still have to do a reload. So I wanted to bring this down and show you. So this is all in the settings. So when you boot up version 1.1.8, it should take all the settings. Since these are new settings, it should all work no problem. And then it should be defaulted on now. So under here on the RS3 Reaper, I have enable Reaper ammo 0 delay. That's the delay for holding the slide back. So that's turned on, and then here's the 145 for which I was talking about for the delay in before it sends the Z0. Then you have the 5.0 hold slide back time safety thing that I was mentioning. And you can do, like 2.5, you can do to 1 decimal. So you can do 3.5, you can change it to see what fits you, but I think 5 was good. And also I put for all these, if you do change it and you don't know what the default is, I put a tooltip in. So you just have to hover the mouse over it, and then it will tell you what the default is for any of the number values. And I did that for the 3 number values too. So just in case if you change things and you're like, oh, what was default? All you do is have to do that, then it will show you what the default is. But this will be, I turned it on by default because I think everybody would want on. So if you don't want it on, and I'm wrong, then you can easily come in here and turn it off, and it'll turn off all the timers, and it'll just work like it used to, right? It will just send the Z0 right after, when it gets ammo 0, when it'll just send the Z0 right with it. So, okay. Okay, so that is kind of like the main reason for this. So, but it's nice to have. I tried a lot of games out. I tried like Terminator Salvation, House of the Dead 4, Aliens Armageddon, and the slides holding back all the time. And it's nice because a lot of times I don't even look down because I just fire. Then when I hear it clicking back, then I just reload right away. So I'm not even really looking at the gun too much at all. So I think it's a nice feature and kind of thing, and I wanted to use all the features of the Reaper, which now I think I have in. So now all the new features that came with the RS3 Reaper are now working and made into How Could the Reaper. And the last thing I want to say, of course, this only works with this only works when you're using the ammo value recoil method, because the Hook of the Reaper needs to know the ammo value to make it work. Right? That's how it knows how to set the LEDs, know when to send Z0. If it doesn't know the ammo value, it can't send that extra data. So I have it now. I have it since version 1.1.7. It should default to make ammo value recoil method the highest priority with that. But that's it. So you can download it and try it out. Thanks. Bye.